Hey, everybody, and welcome to Boss Talks. I'm your host, Evan Happel. This is episode 108, and I have a great guest today, Bokobza. He is with Venn. He's one of the co-founders for them. And we're going to talk about some great things they got going on at their company. They just made a big announcement yesterday about something called myBozzuto. It's a platform they created in relationship and partnership with Bozzuto, and kind of an all-in platform to do all the things at a community for the residents, and an operating system, they're calling it. I saw it was trying to bring Apple Magic to multifamily, which is funny because that's not Apple per se, but we do like Apple here at Community Boss and like to emulate kind of our styling and things. We look to them as our guide in that way, but we are a fan of Apple ourselves. So I'm interested to hear more about that. And just last week, we were actually at a retreat. The whole Boss family, Boss team, we were down in California doing Boss Fest #2, second annual. So we were talking about all things magic when it comes to our software as well. So maybe that's the new term. Maybe we're going away from AI and it's about magic now, which that's fun. Let's get right into the magic. But we're going to talk about some other things as well. Maybe dive into some of Or's personal life a little bit, and kind of the things that he has been doing, on that side of his, there's the professional world, but there's also a lot of things going on in the world. And he's definitely been doing some things that are serious, to be honest. But we'll get into that as well. So super excited to talk to Or. Before we get into it any further, though, again, I'm Evan Happel with Community Boss, and we have some great solutions for you when it comes to managing your parking, your amenities, and mapping. So if you have any questions, you need some prop tech to help manage those physical spaces, we can definitely help you out. Make that parking lot less of a headache and more something that people actually feel is fair and maybe even enjoy. I don't know if enjoyment's the right word, but you can definitely at least make some money out of your parking lot. So if you have any questions, come my way. But it's about Or today, so let's get right to it. Or, thanks for being here.
Hey.
Yeah. So you guys had a big announcement here yesterday, and I didn't even know it was dropping like right in the midst of this. So very timely. I appreciate that. What are you guys got going on? I know you just mentioned you're headed to OpTech next week. So lots happening in conjunction with that and the big show and all that. So you guys are all hands on deck, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week will be a big week. Actually, it started yesterday with the announcement, something that we've been cooking for a while. It's been almost 2 years since we started to work on the myBozzuto initiative. And as they say, it takes a village to build something that big. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the first time the industry is about to see a really all-in-one resident journey from the operational side as well as on the resident side. Let's start on the apartment sales through the application, background check, e-signing, all the onboarding processes, everything that relates to the resident and the resident experience, and the same time on the operational side, and how do we at Venn making the life of the on-site team so seamless and simple, and actually able to automate every single touch point with the resident to free up some time for the on-site team and make the magic, as you said a few seconds ago, make this magic of turning every building to an autonomous building. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot to tell about the myBozzuto, but yeah, I'm sure that we will get into it in a few minutes.
Yeah. No, that's fun, and I like using the word magic. It's nice to hear something other than AI. So
yeah, everything is AI, right?
And maybe it is
AI.
Yeah, and it's probably fueled by AI, but we got to use some different terms because it's getting kind of.
It's funny about 3 years ago there was a term within Venn that every time someone said the word AI, we corrected it and said it's AI, and then it created this curiosity and people said, "What is AI?" said artificial and artificial intelligence. So so yeah, this is like in today's world, everybody is just all about AI.
Yeah,
Actually, it's real.
yeah,
It's the real thing, and it's happening big time right now. And yeah, I think that we see a lot of cool stuff coming in with AI.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot to be done with it. Automations obviously can be very helpful in making the life of the manager and residents easier and better. You know, but you also can just throw the word around as if it's magic and it means nothing. So,
Exactly.
it really has to actually mean something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump in any further, there's a couple questions I want to ask. One of them, I don't know if you'll have anything to say about it. Maybe it'll just resonate more from where you come from, Israel. But I know one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of tech coming from Israel
A
when it
lot.
comes to especially apartments. A lot of people that are based in New York that maybe came from Israel, bringing some new solutions and tech that I've been seeing more and more. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's actually Tel Aviv. For those of you who don't know what's going on in Tel Aviv and in Israel, if you walk down the street of Tel Aviv is a tiny city, right? It's like the Tel Aviv metro is about 400,000 people. So if you walk down the street of Tel Aviv, first of all, you probably every third person in the street will look familiar, and everybody knows everybody. And
Okay.
second, which is very cool, by the way, it feels like a very small community, and it's amazing to see how people really helpful for each other for everything. But what's also pretty inspiring is to see how much innovation there is in Israel, how much technology company are evolving in Israel. So you walk down the street in Tel Aviv and you see like those young people with the flip flops and backpack going to work, and you ask them, what do you do? Yes, this guy started a company to do this, and this lady ran her own company to do that. And there's a lot of innovation and a lot of people inspiring each other to build company, to bring innovation, to build innovation. And for those of you who want to learn words and how this all came together and what's the ingredients, I would encourage you to read the book Startup Nation. You will learn a lot about how a culture within a country has been put together to bring so much innovation. So yeah, this was a long way to tell you that to answer your question, that yes, there's a lot of tech, a lot of innovation comes from Israel.
Yeah, yeah. I've been noticing that, and I'm like, is anybody else noticing this? Because I have.
Yeah, 100%. And then when you ask people, do you guys know how many people live in Israel? And most people don't. It's like tiny,
Yeah.
tiny, tiny. It's like Israel is smaller than New Jersey, right?
Okay.
Israel is about 9 million people,
Mm.
and the whole land of Israel is 9 million people. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny country, and yeah, and it's explode with innovation. And
Mm.
unfortunately, it's not an easy day, not easy time now in
Right.
Israel.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we can touch on that as well because I know that's a very personal thing for you, being that you're from there and you've actually participated in kind of supporting your country. So.
Correct.
Um, So before we dive into that a little more, I just have a question, and this actually might be interesting because I don't know what the parking situation is like in specifically Israel. I know in New York it's kind of interesting. A lot of people don't drive, or it's just kind of a headache to drive. So there's public transportation and stuff like that. So when it comes to parking, is there anything like interesting you could share, kind of like your experience?
Oh man, don't let me start. Yeah, obviously it depends, right? You can divide the situation between a city like Jerusalem or Tel Aviv to a small town or a kibbutz outside of Tel Aviv. But when you think about Tel Aviv, it's like something you go back home and you just need to calculate at least an hour to look for a parking space. And there is so many rules and so many things that you need to learn every other day in order to find your own parking space. But yeah, it's like in every city. When I'm in Tel Aviv, I it's really rare that I will take my car and drive around. I will take a bicycle, I will take a scooter, I will walk. But driving it's a complicated thing in Tel Aviv. It's very similar to New York, actually. I
Yeah,
almost never drive here. It's either you go by train or like subway or bicycle.
yeah. And is the density of Tel Aviv pretty that it's just if you're on the road, you're just fighting with everyone else?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Nothing different than what you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I kind of wondered about that. And that's one of the things that maybe this breeding the prop tech thing is just your density. Do people tend to live in apartments more than not in Tel Aviv?
In apartment, you mean like in multifamily or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
So it's pretty funny. Like in the US, the multifamily industry is the biggest in the world, right? About third of the population here. Let's call it about 80 million people who live in apartments in multifamily. In Israel, which is about 48 to 49 million apartment units for rent.
Mhm.
In Israel, most of the apartment, let's say 99%, will be condominiums.
Mm,
So if you go to Tel Aviv, it's like a standalone apartment or homes that people actually own, like a
right.
historical thing, and they let those apartments. So when they rent to other people,
Oh,
so
okay.
the multifamily in Israel is not as developed as in the US. Um, but yes, but about 70% of Tel Aviv are renters, but they rent
Okay.
for a condominium owner.
Got
So
it.
yeah, so it's pretty different than here.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it'd be pretty dense. So there'd be a lot of condos and that kind of
Yeah,
housing.
it's mostly condos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting. All right. And then next question. When it comes to music, is there any music, maybe it's from Israel, maybe it's from here, I don't know, you'll tell me, that you go to kind of as inspiration or something that gets you motivated?
wow, it's a good question. First of all, I love music, and even my son and myself, we have this game called guess the song. So he is like almost 4 year old, and we have a library on Spotify of I want to say 250 to 300 songs, and in the past 2 years, we are playing this game that I teach him new songs, and the next day he need to tell me what the name of the singer, the name of the band, what year it been published, etc. And it just is not even four; it's like 3.5. So music is a big thing at our house. Um, and yeah, we love to go to concert. We love to go and listen to nice DJs. My wife and I actually went 3 days ago to Black Coffee here in New York. It's a famous DJ if you are not aware. We love music. We go out, we go to concerts. Uh,
Okay. So do you like electronic music then?
we like it all. Like if you look at my Spotify, you will think that it's like 20 different people on the same account. So
Okay.
we like every single. Um, we like all kind of music. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then when it comes to caffeine or coffee, uh, do you have a beverage that you go to when it comes to that?
Yeah, of course. Everybody drink coffee. Come on.
Actually, no.
No?
I asked this question to everyone, and they're like Coke or tea or whatever. But yeah, so what's your coffee of choice?
Yeah. I just drink like a regular Americano or
Okay.
espresso. But
Yeah.
I probably drink too much of it. 5 to 6 a day, I will say.
Okay, yeah.
It's just a habit. You drink it just as something that you do, right? You don't even need to want it. You just do it. And
Yeah. Yeah, well, especially if it's an espresso, because it's not like it's not a lot. It's Americano or whatever. It's smaller amounts.
yeah,
Just does the job. Caffeine.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What do
Yeah.
you drink?
I drink a lot of just black coffee. We just have, I do one at a time. We don't make a pot of coffee. We just make like one serving at a time. So that's usually what I do. It's just black coffee. I don't really like really sugary drinks, so I don't like going to like Starbucks and getting a latte or anything with a lot of syrup or anything personally. But
Yeah.
it's kind of, yeah, yeah, too much sugar for me. All right. Well, thanks for answering. I guess it's time to jump right in. Really want to start off, like we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but personally, again, from Israel, was it Tel Aviv that you were mainly living in as,
Yeah.
most of your life?
Tel Aviv, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And I know it's a thing for Israel. Everyone, once they get to a certain age, they serve with your military for, is it how many years? Like 2 typically, or?
Yeah, so everybody need to go to the army in Israel. Men will go to 3 years, and women will go to 2 years, and it's
Okay.
mandatory. Some people don't want to go to the army, and then they need to go and volunteer for 2 to 3 years. They have to go to volunteers in with hospitals or with youth or something like that. But it's part of the culture and the identity of the of Israel that you need to bring back to the country. And
Yeah.
I think it's something beautiful, to be honest. Like, I think that there is something that is beyond the serving. It's part of the identity when everybody has to um, serve back and bring back. It's something important, and
Yeah.
also, and by the way, it goes back to innovation. It goes back to the fabric element and the DNA of Israel. It's the think about yourself for 3 years. What the chances that you and 20, 30, 50, 100 people from all around the states will come together, people from different areas who grew up differently. And one day you all become equal. You all wear the same uniform. Doesn't matter what's your background, how much money you have in the bank, what your inspiration. It's just you, and it creates a different levels of friendships. It exposes you to other cultures, other people, and it creates a fabric of togetherness, which is extremely powerful. And one of the things that you will see a lot in Israel is that people who get to know each other in the army will go after and build their own businesses together. They will go and have an ideas together. They will go to volunteer together. They will go to travel right after the army for a year or two to South America or to India, Japan. Um, and I think that this is something that makes Israel extremely special, bringing all those people together. I believe it's extremely important.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting. I didn't know about the idea of, if somebody isn't, particularly wanting to join the military, that they still have to do some kind of giving back to the country and
Yeah.
the community. That's interesting, because I actually was thinking about, is like, what about those people that maybe even physically can't?
Right.
Like, is there a different thing that they are supposed to do? And it sounds like there is.
People who cannot do it physically, there is a lot of jobs in the army to do around intelligence, around there is a lot of way to serve. Not every soldier in Israel will go and fight, right?
Right.
But some people will say, I don't want to wear a uniform. I don't want to be any association with weapons and things like that. And people will just, which is acceptable.
Yeah.
What is not acceptable in Israel if you decide that you don't want to do anything.
Hmm.
This is, in my point of view, this will be selfish and not and this will ignore like all the rest. So
Hmm.
I really believe that 2 years you should serve your country, and you will want to do something great for the people around you.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think having that kind of thing in the United States could be very helpful. I think it would help people think of how they can give back to it, like you said, regardless of how you were brought up. It allows people to meet people from all walks of life and
Mhm.
get that exposure to things that maybe they would have never got exposed to. Because if you're just stuck in this same bubble of people, then you're always going to have the mindset of, okay, well, if you're poor, I'm always going to be poor. If you're, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I can see that being very interesting.
Exactly. And in Israel, there is a word there that there is a phrase that is very hard to translate. It doesn't translate. I try to explain it, called arvut adadit, which is like mutual responsibility, but it doesn't
Mm,
translate. It's a very powerful two words when combined. And this arvut adadit, this mutual responsibility, is something very, very, very strong in Israel. Like when you go back to October 7th, think about it. It's like the entire country stopped. 350,000 people left their homes, left their families, and just went to serve without no one calling them. I was one of them. I'm not unique. I would happen to be in Israel on the morning of October 7th. And this um, this arvut adadit, this two words, I think, is what identified Israel so much,
mhm.
and it means that people will put their family first, and then Israel, and then the work. Right, this is the order, and this is something very powerful and gives you a lot of confidence and trust in the people you live around. It doesn't matter if I know you or not. We are part of something, and
Hmm.
this identity has been developed for years because it's mandatory to serve the country
Right.
and create this very strong um, connection between
Hmm.
people who live in Israel and the country. And you know what? People don't really know about what I'm going to tell you, but there are about 9 people in Israel. 2 million out of them are Arab Israelis who have equal rights, like everybody. Every citizen in Israel have equal right, like everybody, right? When you go to the train, like the subway in Tel Aviv, you have 3 languages, right? Arabic, English, and Hebrew. When you approach the next stop, the guy will tell you in the speakers what's the name of the stop in Arabic, English, and Hebrew. So the there are 2 million Arabs in Israel who have equal rights like everyone else, and a lot of them are also have a very big part of this identity. And the head of the biggest Israeli bank, like the chairman of the biggest Israeli bank, is Arab, and his colleagues are all Jewish, and this guy is Muslim, and the other ones are Jewish. So there is something very special about this place that brings together so many different cultures.
Hmm.
And people sometimes get confused because they don't really know the details. So when you actually live in Israel and you see that when you go to the hospital, there's so many doctors who are Arabs and Muslims and Christians and Jewish, and like all of them are all together, and they all need to serve. They all need to, not necessarily, a lot of them will not want to serve in the army, but they need to serve the country. They need to take part, and they need to have equal responsibility for the country of Israel.
Yeah.
And this tension, this togetherness, this sense of belonging, sense of community, in a lot of ways is what makes this place so special on one hand and so innovative on the other end.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I can see. The more people you're kind of entangled with, the transfer of ideas can be something that it kind of allows for a transfer of ideas and a sharing of ideas.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and it comes with a lot of I don't know if you will know this word, but called chutzpah. Okay, this is a famous word
I've
in
heard
Hebrew.
that word.
You heard that word. So this chutzpah is something that comes from the culture of what from our identity, right? Everybody feel comfortable to say everything that they have in this head, right in your face. No bullshit culture, no sugarcoating. What you see is what you get. It has a lot of benefits, right? So it has a lot of opportunities because when you sit in the room and you know that everybody in the room tells you exactly the truth, there is something
Mm.
very powerful. It's annoying a lot of time, right? When everybody, like, being running a company with a lot of Israelis can be sometimes frustrating because people will tell you, yes, I'm going to do that, but in the process, they will say, yeah, he said that, but actually, I think I have a better idea how to do it better. And then people will say, okay, now I'm going to do it better. And then they come back. They said, did you do that? And they will said, no, I did something different because I thought it would be better if I do this. And then I said, but no, we said you're going to do that. And sometimes you see what people come back with, and you say, wow, this is amazing, right?
Mm.
People have the freedom. People have the freedom to develop, to go um, beyond the instructions. it, great thing can happen, and this is all
Yeah,
about the place that I'm coming from.
yeah.
And we have about 60 something, almost 70 engineers, product people, designers in Israel. And this group of people are the most amazing people I have worked in my life with. They come with the culture of everything possible, with can-do mentality. They will stay until late at night until they will figure out a complex problems. And this culture that came from our roots is something very natural, and this got us to a point where today, when you think about the level of innovation that Venn brings to the table, it's pretty amazing. When you think about how many integration, like more than 150 integration that has different set of data, and this data is being centralized into one data warehouse, and this one data warehouse has been normalized and consistent, and allowing us to automate probably every single touch point between resident and operators. This is something that you really need a very smart and powerful group of people who really dare to bring innovation to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess to dovetail right into it, when you're talking about the company that you're currently co-founder of, then what did that spur out of? Because you had another business that you started, and then I'm not sure whether there was an exit or like what happened there necessarily, but what happened there, I guess, and then how did this come to be?
Yeah. So yeah, we exited the previous company. Actually, Venn is my third company.
Oh,
Uh, I
okay.
I served almost 10 years in the Israeli Defense Force. At the age of 18, I went to the army. I was discharged when I was 28, and then I traveled to Latin America. I started a real estate company. We built, owned, and operated about 1 million square foot of residential real estate.
Hmm.
And then we got into hospitality. We built a brand with 125 locations in 25 countries. And the idea behind this brand was to connect people who travel. So it was all about community. Everything that we've done in the past was all about bringing people together.
Hmm.
Why? Because it was just exciting. This is our culture, and this is how I grew up. I grew up in a place where everybody knows everybody. 1,000 families. I didn't grow up in Tel Aviv. I grew up in a small town where everybody knows everybody. I walked barefoot probably until the age of 18. If I met some problems, my neighbors will call my mom to tell them that their kid to come to take their kid. So it was like a small town, and a lot of gossip, a lot of things that everybody knows everybody, and this is part of the culture. And when I enlisted to the army, I experienced the same thing. Right, small group of people. We were buddies. We were wanting to do whatever we can and take to support each other. And with the hotel brand, the idea was to bring travelers together, right? The idea was to bring people who travel the world, who say the world is my office, adjusting the laptop, people who want to travel together from one location to the other. We took care of everything. And actually, last year there were about 3 million visitors in those locations all around the world. And the story has shifted for me when I fell in love in a neighborhood that I wanted to live in the South District of Tel Aviv. It was 2016. I fell in love in a neighborhood that was pretty complicated. It was a rundown neighborhood, but I found it full of magic and charm. And I just decided to move there. So I bought a building in this neighborhood with my co-founder. And we renovated the building, and then we bought the building next door, and then we printed a huge map of the neighborhood, and we drew on the map a new layer. It was all about how do we want to live our life. So imagine a neighborhood mile by mile. There was nothing there, not a coffee shop, not schools, not kindergarten, like nothing. And we decided to develop everything by ourselves. So we opened the first coffee shop out in Culture Center. We bought about 1,000 apartments little by little in 24 months. And one day we found ourselves as the asset managers, the property managers, the experience managers, the people who run the parties within the street. We opened more than 50 different small businesses within this neighborhood, including like schools, kindergarten, co-working spaces, yoga places, bars, restaurants. We literally covered the entire neighborhood. We turned the neighborhood to something magical, back to the word magic from the beginning. And the only dream that we had from the very beginning was to live in a place where you walk down the street, you see familiar faces, and people know you by your name. This was the whole thing. And we thought that if I can bring this to my kids, to my family, it will be unbelievably amazing. So we made this dream into reality faster than what we have thought. And in 2018, my co-founder and I thought, what if we can productize every single touch point of what we put together here? It was a big success on the real estate side, right? We almost quadrupled the price per foot in less than 4 years. But the real magic was, and the real excitement was around this kind of community that we put together. And we've seen a great increase in retention and demand and rent prices, and we became the go-to company for every single need of the resident. So we said, what if we can build a platform, an operating system that will replicate and scale every single touch point in this journey, from a month before residents move in until a month after they leave. This was the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many Israelis do you know, but we always underestimate how long things will take. So we think, 18 months, we will put together something. So we raised some money at the seed round, and we started to build the technology. And it took us almost 5 years to put this platform together. So from 2018 until 2002, we've been working relentlessly with almost 70 people to put together this technology, this infrastructure. And we realized how complicated it is where we started to realize how complicated would it be to integrate all the different systems, right? When we moved here to the United States and we thought here we want to bring it to life, we realized that we need to integrate to companies like Yardi, Entrada, RealPage, Rent Managers, you name it, right? So it's the first layer, and then you have endless amount of payment solutions, and then you have endless amount of point solutions. So little by little, we realize there is a list of 400 different integrations that we need to put together. So after almost 5 years of development, we were ready to launch the product. And people kept telling us, but why are you not launching? And then you will figure it out. And the answer was very clear. We want to make it great before we launch it, because otherwise we will never be able to fix it. So we launched it in Kansas City. There was a very nice guy from a company called Mac Properties who told us, guys, I'm going to give you a shot. It was after I begged this guy so much. And he said, look, I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm not necessarily understand what should you do, but here are the 500 units. If you make it here, I will give you my portfolio. So after 3 months, he gave us his entire portfolio in Kansas City. We ended up 2022 with from 0 to 7,500 units, 23 with almost 25,000 units, and we're going to end up this year with close to 200,000 units, and hopefully next year with 1 million units. And I think that what enabled us to be where we are right now, and with this amazing partnership with Bozzuto, is that we decided that we're going to do anything like we do everything. Everything has to be pixel perfect. We want to bring innovation, and we want to build the real product. We are not building this company to sell this company tomorrow morning to one of the giants. This is not the goal. The goal is to build an everlasting company that will serve millions of residents and millions of employees in the multifamily to make their life better. And in order to do that, we believe that we want to create one operating system that is inspired, as you said, like Apple, that is so seamless and so easy to use on both sides. That on one hand will turn the property managers, the leasing agents, the asset managers, the property manager assistant, everybody on the operating, the on-site side, turn them to heroes. And on the resident side, to create one digital experience that is end-to-end and make their life easier and seamless on the one hand, and help them to be part of something bigger than themselves on the other hand. Now, people sometimes tend to think, oh, here is another app. It's not about the app, right? We can integrate with any app in the world. The idea, how do you build this layer that sits on top of the tech stack and integrate to the entire universe around the house. This is why I'm also extremely excited to partner with you guys and to think together how to bring more experiences and seamless experiences to the multifamily.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we can talk more about what that looks like, but you know, we're similar. We're not in it to sell tomorrow. You know, we've gone a different route a little bit. We've never raised any money. We just bootstrapped the whole thing. So we've just kind of grown as we've grown organically. But but similarly so, like we're all about being helpful and really serving our customer well, you know, not to exit tomorrow. Like
100%.
Yeah.
And it's approach. And by the way, there are different approaches that are great as well. It's just what we chose. And different than you guys, we needed to invest about $70 million into the product, into building the product before we launch it. You guys are lucky.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a different way, but it's, you know, there's always pluses and minuses to all of it.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. I think what you guys are doing is very interesting. Did you want to jump into kind of myBozzuto and kind of what does that mean? What is that platform?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm encourage you to guys to read the myBozzuto announcement yesterday that Bozzuto put out. I actually can put it here on the. I can put the link on the um, here on the chat.
It may only share to YouTube.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you want just after the fact, you can
Yeah.
share it into the
After the fact, but
yeah.
myBozzuto is basically the new operating system, the ultimate operating system to run the entire digital transformation that Bozzuto um, is has dreamed of. Bozzuto is really inspiring company. Like Bozzuto is really when I look backwards about all the interaction with them, right? It's almost 2 years since we engaged with Bozzuto. These guys are the real deal, right? When they do something, they go all in. They want to explore. They interview probably every single person in the company. They want to understand our tech stack, how it's going to integrate to their database. That they want to understand that we are for real. By the way, part of the reason was that there was a lot of frustration about a lot of other point solutions in the industry because a lot of them are not integrated. So one of the things that they wanted to understand that first of all that we are for real, and on the other hand there is unlimited opportunity, limitless opportunities to integrate to more solutions in the industry because there are great solutions in the industry as well. And what you want to create is an ecosystem that is API, open API, and very friendly to other solutions. And the whole process was about we want to understand that you guys are for real. And the past 18 months was all about building this brand of myBozzuto that will take place in the next 2 years in the digital transformation of Bozzuto. So I think Bozzuto will own the leadership of the digital transformation of our industry. They bring to the table something extremely unique, and it's all built on the Venn tech stack. Um, and and in reality, what does it mean? It means that in the next months, it's already live, by the way, in the first building in DC, in the flagship buildings in DC. But in the next months, you guys will, the world will see about 100,000 units comes to life, and with this myBozzuto operating system that starts from the apartment search through touring the building, application process, background check, e-signing, the onboarding process, onboarding and all the different services from my mover, furnishing, design, pet insurance, pet services, like financial services, whatever you can imagine on your move in will be as part of myBozzuto digital experience. And then in your day-to-day life, when you actually live in the Bozzuto building, you will have a 360 of all the things that you need, from maintenance requests, payments, services. If you want to move from one apartment to the other, you can do it all on the same platform with consistent experience, with consistent design. And if you want to leave and you want to move from one city to the other, you can do it on the same platform with easy and seamless experience. Now, on the resident side is extremely appealing. In order to do that, you need one source of truth, one platform that enables you to put together all the different touch points and create automated workflows that allow you as an employee to support this seamless experience. So I think that the world is going to see a new version of lifestyle brand within multifamily. It's going to be bold. It's going to be extremely exciting. And The other thing that I love about our industry, that our industry is so big on one hand, but so small on the other hand, and people really um, willing to share information and want other company to succeed and to help each other to grow and to make the industry better and better. So we hope to be part of this movement and to support and help more and more companies to be part of it. And yeah, and you're going to see more about it in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. And I like when you said like being friendly or API friendly, and like, that is something I think many people want, is more of a cohesive technology experience where things do work well together. It's very, we've come a long way since about 2020 where that didn't exist at all, probably, barely.
Right.
Like, that kind of like put gasoline on the fire to kind of like really push it forward. But we still have a long ways to go, and there's so many companies too, so there is a challenge, but
Exactly.
but I think there is just this idea of probably quite a few companies are going to start consolidating. I would think. There's too many of the same thing. Like, competition is good, but at the same time, it almost feels like you could have too many things that are the same thing.
100%. I agree with this so much. I think that our industry on the vendor side, I think that we have to be extremely collaborative. We need to work together. I think that we're going to see a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the next 24 months. I think it's already taking place. And so on one hand, we're going to see a lot of collaboration. On the other hand, I think that more and more smart companies will decide to take it to the next level and to open their API and to say, guys, whomever want to work with me, here's the code, here's our API, and just let's work together. Our way to do that was to develop what we call the Venn store on the Venn platform. So the Venn platform is like you have the consolidated product that is basically able to help you control your entire business from one place. So in this one place that really feels like Apple product, you
Okay.
click and get into the Venn store. Okay, so it's the Venn App Store. Within the Venn App Store, you will be able to find every single point solution that wanted to work with Venn, and Venn wanted to work with them. And we are open to work with anybody. So once you integrate to the Venn store, you will be able to integrate to our own workflows. And we encourage our partners, our customers, to use the best in class products in the industry. If someone does an amazing job, I have no reason to compete with them. I want to work with them. Our point of view and our DNA is to bring the best of the best into one place and to make sure those workflows will come together so we can have this autonomous buildings with exceptional experience. So my bet is we're going to see a lot of magic happen in the next 24 months, and a lot of companies will come together. And by the way, I think that also competitors, I will want to look at our competitors as friends, and I want to work with them, and I want to be friendly with them. I think that if they succeed, we succeed. I think that there is so much to do in the industry, and there is room for so many companies, and this is the only way to win in this industry, in my point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's too many that are doing exactly what you're attempting, though. There's maybe a few, but I don't think there's as many doing a kind of all-in solution.
Yeah, I think that the combination of everything, like the consolidation of everything in one place, we are the only one who does that. But you know that sometimes some of our partners and customers, they want us to solve a specific problem, and they start small, and then we grow to a bigger solution. So on those small problems, we can be counted as competitors to other companies, but still, I think that there is room for collaboration even in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds like a cool a way to go about it. I appreciate how you're thinking about it, and as a company, how you guys are approaching it. That sounds, I mean, it's great to hear people that want to open it up to more collaboration, to more partnership, because I think that to a degree, we don't necessarily feel that's the case in all areas. We do have some of those big companies that are kind of like, in my opinion, a little bit of a roadblock, that kind of like almost impede innovation, because it's kind of this thing, like you said, you have to integrate with this couple things,
Right.
in order to move forward. But that's a big deal.
100%. There was a book that inspired me a lot that I read about 2 years ago called New Power. I really encourage you to read it as a marketeer. It's an extremely interesting book that talk about the movement of our era. So, when you look at the history, you think about the biggest movements that happened in the past. Those movements were around a leader, around someone who came up with idea, and the whole movement was all about the guy who ran the movement. In today's world, the biggest movements are around ideas. And if I ask you, who is the leader of Me Too, you will never be able to tell me, right? Who is the leader of Burning Man, one of the biggest things that's happening in the world, right? You will never be able to tell me. Who is the leader of Black Lives Matter? You will never be able to tell me. So you see there is a path here, and the path is around ideas. And I think that people who share the same ideas need to come together and to solve the problem. And I think that our industry, when you think about the multifamily industry today, there is a lot of challenges. I think this industry is still working as if we are 20, 30 years ago. There are products in this industry that has not changed forever. And there are real problems. I think there is a lot of frustration when you think about the operational team. They are so frustrated. Sometimes they need to log into 27 different systems. It's a real problem, and this problem affects the people who live within the buildings. It affects the business. It affects NOI. It affects business result. It's a bad experience,
Right,
to say the least. And I think that there are a lot of people who are passionate to solve this problem for real, like really passionate to solve this problem, to bring great experiences, and to change the way people live, and to create a sense of belonging for people in their homes, in their communities, to turn on-site teams into heroes. And people who are really passionate about it need to be able to say, I'm willing to be extremely friendly with other companies who have the same passion.
Yeah.
And I think that this is what we're going to see in the next 2 years. And I can tell you that I'm extremely passionate about it. And there are founders that I'm in touch with all the time. Some of them compete with me in some ways, but I don't care. As long as we really want each other to succeed, and we want the industry to get into the next level.
Yeah.
And this is exciting. When people speak this same language, I think this is extremely exciting. And by the way, this is exactly what I found with our relationship with Bozzuto. You see passionate people, passionate executives who are pixel fucking perfect. They are really pixel perfect. They want everything to be done perfectly, right? We postponed the launch because the email campaign was not exactly in the right colors of the brand. And so this is the people that when you work with them, you say, wow, okay, these people really cares about the industry. I can understand why Bozzuto is the leader in property management. I can understand it. Why are they one of the biggest leaders? And when you work with partner like Bozzuto, when you work with other companies who cares, who want to change, who want to create better experiences for the teams and for the people who live within the building, when it all comes together, we're going to see this magic comes to life.
Yeah, no, beautiful. More magic. And I mean, that really, the idea of building connection and, what myBozzuto is kind of built on is you're really trying to harness behavioral data, make personalization more of a thing and connection. So anything else to add about that specifically?
I think that at the end of the day, when you think about myBozzuto, I want you to think about one thing. At the end of the day, Venn runs through the entire journey, right? From a month before someone move in until a month after they leave. It's all run on the Venn platform, which means that we can aggregate all the data and put this data together. When we have all this data, we can run our algorithm and to get real-time insights. So when you open your day as a property manager, as a leasing agent, an assistant property manager, as an asset manager, you get into your Venn product that calls myBozzuto, and the system will tell you, hey, Evan, here are the most important three things that you need to do today. The system will know it's very intelligent system, right? Because we run our algorithm back to the AI. We run our AI on all this data, and the algorithm will know how to tell you what are the most impactful things that you can do in order to improve the life of the people who live within the building, and what are the most important things that you should do right now in order to make the business better. And this is based on more than 500 interviews that we had with on-site teams. This is based on the thing that we asked them about what will make your life better. And everybody said, I wake up in the morning, I run in so many different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And once we have all this data and we know how to run our algorithm on this data and we have those insights, the second thing that we did was to take the action through an automated workflow. So let's say the system will tell you, hey, Evan, you have one resident who has a problem that has not been addressed, and you have a risk here that this resident will not renew his contract next month because they need to renew his contract in 60 days. You will have the click button of reach out. In the reach out, you will have an automated workflow that you don't need to do almost anything in order to approach, to communicate, to offer, to improve. And it's also tell you when it's escalate to the point where it tells you, hey, Evan, call Sydney. Try to understand how can you help. And it's all based on machine learning. It's all based on automation. So it basically reduces the amount of work and effort that you need to do in your day-to-day. And in the same time, you improve dramatically the satisfaction of your team and the satisfaction of your resident. That will impact renewals, that will impact occupancy, that will impact rent prices, and also build another level of relationship that allow you to offer endless amount of services that will sit on top of the rent price that will impact your net operating income and your business results.
So it's really, I mean, there's collecting data and then there's making data actionable and useful.
Exactly. And automate and those actions are being automated.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, people that work on site, when they get data, they don't know what to do with it necessarily. I mean, most people don't. Like,
exactly. Right?
They need to be told this is good, this is bad, this is what you need to do because of this.
100%. Yeah.
Just giving somebody a spreadsheet. Look at all this great data.
This means nothing. There is so much data. There is so much data in this. The question is, what do you do with the data? And you need a very smart algorithm that will know to analyze that. If I give you an example, and I know that we are about to be out of time, but I give you a small example. So today, when you have Evan open 16 maintenance ticket requests, okay, and 6 tickets out of those 16 can be on the same topic, but Evan called every single ticket differently. One, you will say, I cannot get into my apartment. Second is my lock is broken. And the third time, I have a problem with the door. Every single one of them will be identified as a new ticket, which is a big frustration to the team on one hand, and it's a big frustration to you, and you're going to communicate on every ticket through different medium. You're going to do it through email, through SMS, through the app. Now, our algorithm know to identify that you open 6 tickets on the same topic. It will turn it into one maintenance ticket, and it will always also signal that we have a frustrated resident who opened 6 different tickets and no one called. Okay? So this is the intelligent system that we built, and we are talking about like a niche of the niche of a niche, like of one topic. I can give you 6 other different examples around amenities or onboarding or renewals or whatever. And I think that this is when the magic started, and this is where we see the eye sparks of the on-site team. This is what I think make the Bozzuto Venn relationship so powerful and exceptional.
Well, that's cool. And I just want to say thank you for sharing a little bit about not only your story, but what's going on at Venn. And it sounds cool. I mean, one of the things that you probably don't know, but this platform, Boss Talks, is a way to build community. It's a way to bring people together. That's something I'm passionate about, is building community. It's kind of like my backstory and history. So all the things you're talking about with Venn and that kind of being your heartbeat and how you're motivated as well is really cool to hear. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here, Or, and it's been great to get to know you a little better.
Same here. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to collaborate and to do more great things together.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for watching right now and in the future. There's so many great things to learn from this episode. So I do hope you take the opportunity to dive in and listen. But just like Or jumped in and was on Boss Talks, you too can. Whether you're the founder of a company or somebody that's on site, a leasing manager, a community manager, maintenance person, everybody, you can be on Boss Talks, and I want to have you on and hear your story and how you're motivated, what your passions are. So till next week when we dive into episode 109, this has been Boss Talks, and thanks for listening.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.